Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Jeff.
If it's okay, both of you can stay there, or you can take turns, or whatever's easier.
So, is it okay for you?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to stand side by side like that, it's turned sideways somehow.
Oh, okay.
You prefer that? Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
That's
Perfect.
better.
Oh, look at the view. Wow.
Yeah.
And you have a nice day for weather too.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
It's sunny.
In live
Is
from
Martin,
Latvia.
is Martin holding the camera? Who is holding the camera? Is that Martin?
I am.
Oh, you are. Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So,
We do
gentlemen,
everything.
I love it. Can introduce yourselves and tell us where you are?
Antoine?
Nice to meet you. I am the son of Florence Brumont. I work in the vineyard and in the winery, and with Fabrice in Chateaux Montus and Chateaux Bouscasse.
You're Antoine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm Fabrice. I'm the winemaker, the chief winemaker since 20 years now with Alain. And Alain is more in charge of the vineyard parts, more in charge of the cellar, and we do winemaking together since 4 or 5 years now.
Okay. And do you both do both properties, Montus and Bouscasse?
Yes.
Yeah, we do the both. This is really the same company. This is. Can you see us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Okay.
And the beautiful view behind you. Stunning.
Yeah. I can do maybe a quick.
Wow. That's just beautiful.
We are on the terroir of Latier.
Oh, you are up in Latier. Excellent.
You can see a kind of tree house on the.
That's.
And
put a picture up yesterday of.
I do a complete sun. And normally in front of you, you can have a wonderful landscape on the mountains.
Uh-huh. Oh, which mountains are those?
The Pyrenees between France and Spain.
I didn't realize you could see it. And so let me just ask you can't see the tree house because the tree is in full foliage?
Okay, so I do it again. Voilà.
So it's right.
Can you see it's that big trees? If you watch well, you will see the windows of the tree house of Latier.
Okay.
Not evident, maybe.
I put a picture up yesterday standing in the tree, looking down where you are. And I'm thrilled that you're in Latier. Fabrice, if it's easier, because you did it perfectly, but you can turn the camera out of selfie mode if you want. There's a little arrow screen that you can touch, take it out of selfie mode if at some point you want to show us around, but you did perfectly.
No, we're going to stay like this, okay?
Perfect.
All right, we don't move again.
Okay. So Fabrice or Antoine, can you tell us about Madiran in general? Because a lot of people are not familiar with Southwest France, and I love it there, and everybody should, but can you explain a little bit about Madiran?
So, Madiran is in the southwest of France, at 2 hours of Bordeaux in the south, and 1 hour of the Pyrenees, so in the frontier of Spain.
Mm.
And we are very close to País Vasco also, so in the middle of southwest. And the vineyard of Madiran, it's very close to the Pyrenees, so we have a big influence of the climate. So it's very cool on night and very during the day, during the summer, the day are pretty hot.
Okay.
In fact, we are foothill vineyards like in Rioja, like Priorat, like Piedmont, and we have the same kind of climatic effects.
And so I went to school in Pau. Pau is an hour from you, right?
Yes.
And then you're very near Armagnac also, correct?
Yeah, we are in in the southwest. So we produce Côte de Gascogne, Armagnac, and Madiran.
Okay.
And also the white appellation from Madiran is Pacherengue du Vic-Bilh. And the grapes from Madiran are Tannat, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc for the red, and Petit Courbu and Petit Mancin for the white.
So
also Gros Mancin.
How is the soil in Madiran different from, say, Côte de Gascogne?
It's very different. In Côte de Gascogne, you find limestone on the soil and a little bit of clay.
Okay.
And in Madiran, it's more clay and big rocks like this, like in Châteauneuf du Pape.
Oh, okay.
And it's a big component of the terroir of Madiran and of Montus also, because we have two different terroirs between Montus and Bouscasse. In Bouscasse, you have clay and limestone. It's a blend and no rocks. And in Montus, it's 30 or 40% of clay, red, gray clay, and big rocks. And the altitude is also very different. In Montus, it's 300 meters, and in Bouscasse, it's around 150.
So how do those soil types affect the flavor of the wine?
That's a good question.
Not only the flavors, it's more the style of the wine, the tannins, and the balance. In the limestone and clay from Bouscasse, you will have wines, more full body wines, more accessible on the youngness, more open, with really velvet tannins, something smooth on the mouth. In Montus, you will have something more deeper wine with more fresher feeling at the end of the mouth, with maybe more tight tannins, but really quality on the tannins. And the Montus style is really done by this tannins and that freshness at the end, and with an amazing potential of aging, of course.
Yeah, truly. So can you, like, one of the things that I like about that region is the history, and people don't know Madiran not so much. And I think that in the pilgrimage, pilgrims went through Madiran back. Is that correct?
We haven't heard very well, but for us, it's not. We don't used to talk a lot of Madiran. We prefer to talk of Tannat. In fact, Tannat, terroir, and that specific climate we have. The wine, what I personally liked on that wine, was born just not far, at 40 kilometers from here, and is that we produce really generous wine, ambitious wine, able to age, able to match with food. Matching with food is important in Gascony, as you may know, and really balanced wine. And we got a big chance is that having that perfectly adapt grape variety to the climate, to the terroir. The Tannat, but it's the same for the Petit Courbu, for the Petit Mancin, for the whites. Don't need nothing. They have everything. They have the tannins, they have the structure, they have the flavors, and they have the acidity. All that local grapes have a high natural level of acidity. And it's a big focus for us when we do the winemaking. It's really important. So many wines all over the world today haven't got enough acidity. For us, it's naturally we got it, and we really work with that, and it gives juicy wines, drink with quite drinkability, and able to match with spicy food, with beef, with a lot of different things.
So I want to ask Antoine and then you, Fabrice, how is Tannat different in the vine, and then how do you, in the cellar, what do you do differently from, say, another grape? Is there something unique about Tannat?
Qu'est-ce que tu fais? T'as compris?
The difference. I think between Bouscasse and Montus, there is big difference in the vineyard and in the cellar also, because Fabrice told you, you have two different terroirs, so two different style of wine, balance, type of tannins. So we change the winemaking between Bouscasse and Montus because we don't want the same style. So in the aging change in Bouscasse and between Montus, but in the vineyard the work is almost the same because the grapes is Tannat or Cabernet. So for make a good Tannat, you need to have a viticulture very precise. So for each cuvée, we select the grapes, and we want to keep a number of grapes for each terroir. So in Bouscasse, we keep 8 to 9 grapes for the Bouscasse Classique, for the Bouscasse. And for Vieille Vigne Bouscasse, we keep 7 or 8 grapes. It depends also the vintage, because warm vintage, you need more grapes for have a good balance, for have a less concentration. And in Montus, we have the same philosophy. So we keep 6 or 8 grapes between the Montus Classique and La Tire XL Prestige. And in the cellar, the vintage is very important. So we adapt always the technique. We have Alain likes a lot to experiment new technique. So I think 30 years, every 10 years we adapt our philosophy, our technique for match with the vintage, and also the weather change, the global warming is very impact a lot the vineyard. So we need to adapt always every vintage, every generation. So the big extraction, I think it's almost finished. We need a very slow extraction, but long maceration and long. And for this, you need a very good balance. So Fabrice told you, we have a terroir, very special terroir for Tannat. So we have the Pyrenees, the influence of we are in the Piedmont. So the fresh, very fresh night give a lot of acidity to the Tannat, and also these big rocks is a very important point for the slow and very and for the maturation. So it's very important to know all the components of our vineyard for adapt our technique. And
I want to tell you, just said we're in the Piedmont, which is the foothills, but it sounds like Piedmont. But it's important. It's important for where you are. Fabrice, how do you do Tannat different in the cellar from, say, someone who makes?
In fact, the more important thing, it's not the winemaking. It's firstly to produce well-balanced, mature berries. This is the main work. When you get that and you have a good enough terroir, you have done maybe 80% of the work. After, you just have to respect the wine. We are, I used to say we are a bit minimalist in the winemaking. We taste a lot every day, several times per day, all the tanks, all the grape arriving at the cellar. And we, as Antoine said before, we adapt the work to each terroir, each tanks, each plot of barrels. We try to be as simple as possible. We never change the balance of the grape. We never add or remove acidity, sugar, all we can do today. That's important to really keep the potential to have the terroir in the bottle after. Of course, for the tannats, the critical point is to manage the tannins correctly. So Antoine said it before, we do a little bit of extraction, of course, some pigeage, a lot, but not only. And after we try to macerate for a long time. The terroir takes time to pass in the wine, from the berries to the wine. So it takes time. When I say long maceration, it can be very long. It can be 60 days of maceration. It's quite I don't know if it's record, but that's a long time. And after aging, it's really simple. Fermentation, long maceration, and after barrels.
So you're right over Chateaux Montus, right? That's just downhill. The Chateau cellar is all right on the hill, the Chateaux Montus.
We haven't understood.
You are right looking down on Chateaux Montus now, right? In La Tire?
Yeah, exactly.
And that barrel room, it's a huge barrel room for Southwest France. How many vintages will time?
So we got in Montus not far than 4,000 barrels at this time. We got the main part, of course, is the last vintage, 19, but we got also 18 because we age the wine, the tannat wine, during 3 years.
Okay.
So we got also 2018, 2017, and we do on the special cuvée called Montus XL, really long aging that can reach 10 years in barrels, in wooden vats, in several kind of recipes. So we have a lot of stocks in barrels in Montus, but also in Bouscasse.
Yeah. And every parcel is fermented separately and then blended?
Yes.
Yeah.
We want to keep separate our best parcel, of course. And we never blend terroir of Montus and terroir of Bouscasse because they are very different in the composition of the soil and the quality of tannins, the balance, the ripeness also is very different. We picked earlier in Bouscasse than Montus, so we can't blend. And it's very, very important for us to keep the typicity of one terroir. We have, I think, around 60 different tanks for the fermentation in Montus, and it's almost the number of different parcels in Montus. And to keep separate is very important for us for adapt the vinification because each terroir is different. So in La Tire, the slope is on the west, and the big part of Montus on the south. So the style is very different, and we want to adapt our technique for each tank.
It's really important because it's really what we want to do. We want to express each terroir, each different terroir we have in a bottle. So we separate everything, and until the bottling, until the end of the aging. For cuvée classique Chateaux Montus, it's a blend of several kind of terroir, of course, but until the very end. Until the bottling, just before the bottling, we do the final blend, but until that blend, we keep everything separated.
Yeah. And Fabrice, I have heard the expression, or sometimes people say to judge a winemaker by their entry-level wine. And particularly Montus, it's your entry-level wine, but it's still a fantastic wine. What might you do differently? I think it's from Alain Vermont down the road, but what about that statement?
That's important what you are saying. It's easy for everybody to make a little selection of the best tanks, the best barrel, and to do something, to do a cuvée like this. But for us, to judge a winemaker, to judge a winery, just have a look on the entry level. This is the main volume. This is the cuvée where you have the more bottles. This is the cuvée who make money for the for the winery. We live with that cuvée, and it really represents the average level of the terroir, in fact, because they are the basics. So this is really important for us, as important as the top cuvée of Latier, of Montus, of Prestige.
And then, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you go.
But our customer need to have a bottle and wine to be drink more earlier than Cuvée Prestige, Latier, XL.
Yeah.
So we need to show also our capacity to produce easier wine for and have a look of our expression of Tanat.
So every time I'm on Air France, the white wine Gascogne. Can you talk about, and this is with white Côte de Gascogne, there's your Côte de Gascogne, and then Chateau wine. Those are all.
Sorry, there is no reception.
Yeah, we haven't understood all the question.
So I just want to explain to many people who think that Gascogne, if you've had white wine on Air, probably a Côte de Gascogne. And can you talk about your Côte de Gascogne, the Jardin Bouscasse, and then the Chateaux Montus, and how they're different, flavor and in winemaking?
So firstly, the white from the wineries, the Jardin and the white Chateaux Montus, are not Côte de Gascogne. They are the white from Madiran, so it's a strange name. It's called Pachering du Vicbil. This is the name of the appellation. So the main difference with Côte de Gascogne, which are just close to the vineyard of Madiran, that's true. Firstly, they are not the same grapes. We work on two local grapes called the Petit Courbu. It's really rare. We are quite alone using it. And a bit of Petit Mancin to produce the dry white. And secondly, this is not the same kind of terroir and climate than in Gascony. Firstly, the yields are not the same. In Gascony, you can produce interesting wine, fruity, but without any complexity, just to have fun and to drink it on the year. In Madiran, you can do something much more ambitious, able to age, for the white Chateaux Montus, for example. So for that two cuvées, firstly, there are two different terroirs. So limestone and clay in Bouscasse, river stones in Montus. With the same grape, the Petit Courbu, we add a little bit of Petit Mancin, like the salt and the pepper. In Bouscasse, it's a classic fermentation with nothing really special, with a short aging in tanks on lees, with a quick bottling. In Montus, it's really different. We do fermentation and aging in barrels, in 600 liters barrels. The shape of the barrel is, the name is demi-muit, the classic Burgundy shape of barrels, during 2 years. So fermentation and aging. And it gives two really different wine with the same grape, finally.
Yeah. For me, I find a Jardin a little floral, more like springtime, and the Montus more savory and almost like fall.
Exactly. On the Petit Courbu, you always have almost in the youngness something white floral like acacia, but also exotic fruits, something like this. In Montus, with the aging, you have more something more complex, deeper wine. You have the barrel inside, of course. It's more mature kind of fruits, exotic, mango, something like this.
And then could you, either of you or both of you, talk about the cuisine? And also the restaurant at Bouscasse, because I think that's a special place with your chef and your garden. But can you talk about Gascony cuisine with your wine and then what you do at the chateau?
Well, I'm not a Gascon. Antoine is a Gascon, so he's going to explain that very well.
So we can have an outsider and an insider view.
You have a specialist.
So you told we have a special thing in Bouscasse. We have a chef. We have a chef in Bouscasse. So he cooks all the typical food is black pig.
And sorry, if you can, oh, there you go.
So the typical food from the area is the foie gras, of course. The black pig. If you know this, it's like bellota.
Yeah, what's pork noir de Bigorre?
Yeah.
Yes, porc noir de Bigorre.
And is that like pata negra in Spain?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
that's better.
Yeah, it's better.
It's better.
And it's from the area. And Alain starts comment on dit un élevage? Start to grow.
We have pigs in the winery today.
Yeah, Alain is very, very focused on new on the gastronomy from Southwest. So he would like to produce all the product for the customer and for the employees. So he grow
Chicken,
black chicken, like the black pig, the porc noir de Bigorre,
the sheep,
and the sheep from Barège, from the Bigorre,
from the mountains,
and that's it for now. It's a lot, but it's very interesting for us to work with those different things for the wine and also for the company, because all our employees eat every day at the same table with Alain, with Laurence, with different customers from everywhere in the world, and so it's very interesting to have a good vision of our region at this table, so we can test our gastronomy with wine. So in Southwest, you have foie gras, porc noir, duck,
fat duck, of course.
Fat duck.
Huh?
Yeah.
And
we also have a co called Gasconico, famous for the meat.
We have the caviar from Ladour.
Yeah, I had sturgeon at the restaurant too. There's sturgeon in the rivers. Caviar comes from there too, right?
Yeah. Close to Bouscasse at 5 minutes. And also we have the cheese from the mountain also.
Right. And what's
we have everything for.
What is the local cheese called?
So it's called the brebis. It's a goat cheese from the mountains.
Right. And
this is the more famous.
To reiterate that, I have had lunch a few times there, and it's one big room. You have a chef who makes the food, and the whole staff sits down, like in a restaurant, we call it family meal. Every day, the whole staff sits down and has kind of a meeting, but it's a break for food. And then, but you also have tour buses that will stop in. And if someone wants to, say they're in Armagnac and they want to come have lunch at Chateaux Bouscasse, how do they do that? They call up, make a reservation?
Have to book, to call before, 1 or 2 days before. If there is some places, there's no problem. Or sometime when someone come to buy, I don't know, some bottles on the shop we have, you can stay with us. It often happen like this. It's really simple and important for the spirit of the company. Like this, all the workers can have lunch together, and they can compare their work, their experience. The guy coming from the commercial guy coming from Japan with the guy from the tractor. Everybody meets everybody like this, and it's really important for us.
Yeah, it's a real special place too, I will say. Do the pigs and the sheep go into the vineyard?
No. Yeah, the sheep can go during winter sometimes, but not the pigs.
And is the Pâcherenc du Vic-Biel sounds like a Basque word or something? What's the history of the name? It's such a confusing string of letters to understand.
Alors, we don't really know. Some people say that Pâcherenc is in fact, it's the name of the wooden pool in all language from south of France. The wooden pool of the vineyard. That's.
I see.
Voilà, Pâcherenc. And the Vic-Biel is the name of the little place on the appellation where you have more the whites, finally.
Oh, okay.
Means the whole country. So it can be something like this.
Okay.
That's not really commercial name, but that's like this.
Can you talk about Alain just briefly? I'm gonna get Laurence to talk to me one day, maybe with Alain. That's my goal, to have the two of them in the vineyard one day. But until that, can you talk why Alain has gone so much more above the rest of the region? You guys are called Petrus of the South. He's an iconic producer and an iconic winemaker. And I know you do some things with trees separating the vineyards, but what else has Alain done that's different that makes him so special?
Firstly, Alain did something incredible. 45 years ago, so there was vineyard on the southwest, of course, but quite no notoriety and quite no quality on the wine. So alone, it started with an idea. It seems evident for everybody today, but 40 years ago it was really different. He said that he had a famous terroir, but he had to discover, and he say that he gonna produce fine wines using 100% Tannat grape. So everybody said that it was crazy, of course, but that's a good sign when the people say that. So he started like this. He did something quite really clever. I mean, he did the same thing then in Chateau Margaux, Chateau Latour. So he built new barrels. He did long aging, extraction, and for me, maybe the more important thing was that he's really a guy from countryside. He know perfectly the work on the countryside. He know the earth. He know the terroir. For me, often journalists say that he is able to smell the terroir, but I believe that. So he put it the vineyard at the right place, by the right way, and he created, in fact, the way to vine growing the Tannat grape, because it's really difficult. You have to really control the Tannat to have something interesting, balanced, well matured. Naturally, it's really a generous grape, so you have a lot of holes. It grows a lot. You can have very important yields and, of course, bad quality. So you really have. He learned how to control that grapes, and finally he succeeded with that.
Yeah. So in my understanding, which is limited, in Cahors, Malbec was made popular New World in Argentina, and now there's a renewed interest in Cahors with Malbec. I find the same happening with you guys, that you're the source of Tannat and the kings of Tannat. It's being planted widely in Uruguay, which has a lot of marketing dollars. You see the States, and people are starting to have a renewed interest in Madiran. Do you find that to be true at all, or is there something changing because of that, if it is true?
I think in Madiran, it's a little appellation, and you have less producer, I think. And in Cahors, you have bigger producer.
Sure.
You can find 5 or 6 big producer, very famous. And in Southwest, in Madiran, you have maybe two producer very famous in the world. So that's the difference. And also in Uruguay, they are very good for marketing from Malbec. And I think Uruguay speak less than Tannat, than Argentina speak about Malbec. And also, we never stop to call Tannat Tannat. Also, in Cahors, they call Malbec Côte a lot. It's why also I think the people think Malbec is from Argentina, and also it's okay. And but the Tannat, it's also very hard to make a good Tannat. And Fabrice told you, Alain start to grow Tannat with a lot of new technique, and it's a lot of work in the vineyard for have a good balance, very good grapes. So it's very hard to make wine with tannat. So if you want to make a great tannat, with very generous, with good tannins, and with a long aging, you need to have a great terroir, very great terroir, and also the technique. And for make easy wine, it's very hard with tannat because you have a lot of tannins, and if you want to pleasure wine, you don't age in oak or in cask your wine. And in this region, it's a very little production. Comment on dit, vin de niche?
Vin de garage.
Yes, it's like a vin de garage in Madiran. So we want to have the best expression of each parcel with tannat, and it's very, very hard to reproduce this style in the world and in a lot of other regions.
Well, it's well past the time I usually end. I've gone a little bit long with you because I love the wine so much. One last question, and then I will let you go. What is happening in the vines? Can you tell us what is today in the vines and what you're doing?
Yes. So at this moment, it's very, very busy in the vineyard because the weather is very different this year. So the last year was more slow at the beginning, but this year started very, very fast. So now we select the grapes. So you can see these plants. We are in Latier, so we make the best wine of the property. We keep one cluster per shoot.
Wow.
And we remove the second and the third grapes on each shoot for 4 or 5 or 6 grapes. It depends the number of cane in your shoot. That is very
one cluster of grapes per shoot.
Yeah. Yes, and that is the work at this moment. And the last week we start to remove all the leaves around the grapes, because now it's flowering, you can see, and at this moment we like to have a lot of air between the grapes, because we don't want to spray chemical product, and we want to have a natural aeration of the grapes and for have no disease. So at this moment we have around 1.5 hectares of tannat on the property, and we do that. So we are pretty busy at this moment.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure to spend some time talking with you out in the vineyard. And can you show us the view one last time before we go?
This is the kind, it's Hollywood.
Exactly.
You see?
Yeah.
It's last year. It's within at the top of the hill.
And can you show us all around one last time?
Last time.
La cabane.
So the
tree house, yeah.
Tree house. And now we are completely south exposure, so in front of the mountains. We don't see the mountains today. It's cloudy. And the rest of the appellation in front of you.
Just gorgeous. Wow. Well, thank you both. Do you want to say anything before we go? I just can't thank you enough for spending time with us.
No, the climate seems to be a bit warmer in Madiran than for you, no?
Yeah, it's cold today. It
seems to be cold.
Cold today.
Boy, it's really sunny.
Looks great. Well, thank you again, and say hi to Alain and Laurence, and I'll chat with Vincent later. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.